Have you ever just been so frustrated when trying to learn something new? Whether it's a new skill, posing couples, maybe it's a hobby or a sport or something you just desire to get better at, but it becomes so frustrating that you just throw in the towel, that you actually give up on something before you decided to push through and see it to the other side. Join the club, because I'm sure just like me, we're all guilty of doing that. There's all been some point in our life where we've thrown in the towel because we see this resistance, we see this challenge, and we just don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. We don't see it possible for us specifically as an individual to learn this skill. I used to do this all the time. I used to throw in the towel way more often than actually pushing through until I learned what I'm about to teach you here. It's not a magic spell, it's not a potion or anything that just made you amazing at whatever the skill is. In fact, it's just a perspective shift. Once I started to learn psychologically and emotionally and chemically in my body all what happens when I'm trying to learn a new skill, it not only made it way more easy for me to stick with it because I knew what to expect in certain stages of learning, it made it more enjoyable because then it became like a game. It became a challenge knowing that, hey, at some point I'm gonna feel this, but I know how to combat that now and I'm gonna stick with it until I learn this new skill. So without any further ado, let me teach you the #1 tool that allowed me to drastically boost my learning curve, and it can do the same for you. So friends, what I'm about to draw for you on this board is the #1 tool that has, once I grasped this concept, drastically shifted the way I interpret learning and how I actually learn things. It made it more enjoyable. It also gave me so much clarity because as human beings, we've been created and wired a certain way, and sometimes our brain tells us that's not good, or that's scary, or that's bad, and tries to protect us, so it shoots us with all these chemicals that try to protect us, when in reality, we don't need protecting from new things. Way back in the day, when it says, hey, there's saber-toothed tigers that are gonna come attack you, be careful out there. That's not what we're scared about. So we need to sometimes have a perspective of what's going on when we're learning, so when those anxiety feelings come up or those embarrassed feelings come up, we can mentally get past it. And what I'm about to draw for you, I didn't make up, like I said, but I've taught it time after time. In fact, in all of our courses, I always start with this. One of the first videos in all of our courses is this, because when you're pushing into a new skill, it helps so much to learn exactly how you're going to learn and things that might happen that are uncomfortable when you're learning. So I'm gonna draw this on the board here, and then I'm gonna explain it all. And so you don't have to memorize all this. I said it earlier, if you just hit the link below, there is a PDF of exactly what I'm drawing you here. It's filled in, and then there's another one that's not filled in, so you can fill it in yourself and kind of have fun drawing all over it and understanding how you learn specifically. That's free, just hit the link below, and that's gonna be a free PDF of this tool for you. So I'm gonna draw this right now, real quick, and then I will explain all of this to you. So this is what I call the learning square. It is basically a very simple drawing of a square that shows us as humans the learning process. And so, like I said, you don't have to see all these little words up here. Download that sheet so you can follow along. But essentially, it is a square. So at the top you have unconsciously incompetent. You have consciously incompetent, and then underneath that, you have consciously competent, and then over here you have unconsciously competent. So what you essentially have here is everyone starts here with the learning process, and that is unconsciously incompetent. What that means is you are unconscious, you are unaware that you're incompetent at something, which means whatever you're trying to learn, you're unaware that you suck at this thing. Whether it's a new skill, working out, maybe it's a specific type of photography you're trying to learn, or a new camera you're trying to learn, or maybe it's just posing couples and you're just like, man, I think I'm good at this, and you're not. This is a gift. It sounds odd, but it's a gift because if we weren't in a good way prideful as humans to think we can accomplish things, we might not ever start. So consider this a gift. But this is what happens. We all start here, unconsciously aware that we're not good at something, whatever the skill is we're trying to learn. In this case, let's say it's posing couples, because most of us are photographers watching this, and let's just say it's posing couples for an engagement session. We all start maybe thinking like, you see a photo, I could do that. And then something happens, whatever the skill you're trying to learn is. You go over here, and then consciously incompetent. So that means something happens between here and here that makes you very aware that you're not good at that skill. Whether it's posing couples, maybe it's you attempt it and you get embarrassed. And that means in this little area right here, there's the action. It's the action you take that makes you realize you're not good at something. What usually happens here, I'd argue 80% of the time, which this is what I used to do most of the time. Instead of embracing this, your body gets filled with embarrassment. It gets filled with anxiety. Your body starts shooting all these chemicals to your brain. So you think, I can't do this. It's scary. I'm embarrassed. I'm never going to do this again. That means you drop all the way through here, down here, and that is give up. This little square right here, you could just call this like despair. Just a pit of despair where you give up, and that's the only time it's true failures, when you give up and quit something. So what happens here, the next step is you start here, you think you're good at something embarrassing happens, you realize you're not. This is where it all starts. Once you realize you're not good at something, it means you actually need to learn and pick up and do something about it, and that's when you come over here. This is consciously competent. This means you're getting good at something. And then after you're good at something, over here, unconsciously competent, which means it's second nature, you're Mr. Miyagi, you're a master at it. It's how I can roll up to a wedding and not even look at my camera and just adjust the settings by what I see outside and the light, because I've been doing it for so long, a decade's worth. It's just become second nature to you. But this is where learning happens. This is where most people make the mistake. Everyone thinks, okay, one day I'm not good at something, and then sometime I'll be good at something. And have you ever done something where you go out there and let's say it's posing couples and you go out there and you crush it at an engagement session and you're just like, yes, I got it. I used to be here, but now I'm here. And then the next time happens and you just lose it again and you think, what happened? Do I have to give up? No, this is not a one-step process. There's no amount of learning that will allow you once to jump from here to jump to here. In fact, it's a pendulum that swings. Think about learning like this. If this is an anchor and you have this swinging pendulum ball that goes back and forth, and it swings back and forth. Sometimes the harder the task, the more dramatic the swing is, and depending on your natural skill level in whatever specific thing that is, and the consistent dedication to it, which is practice, it will swing back and forth. And you're going to be like, I got this. And then maybe the next time you're like, I don't have this. And that's all it is. This is where most people give up. But you have to understand, this is learning. This back and forth swinging between being good at something and not being good at something is learning. And I can promise you this, the more consistently you show up and dedicate to whatever it is you're trying to learn, one day that pendulum rope will snap and you will land on your feet, consciously competent indefinitely. Yes, you'll always be able to tweak and learn and obviously get to the point of second nature, but most people stop and give up, which is the only point of true failure, is when you actually give up, because they don't understand learning as a back and forth thing. So whether it's going to a sport and thinking like, I got this sport finally, it's the most humbling of things, or maybe it's taking a good photograph, taking golden light photos, posing couples, communicating client calls, whatever it is, maybe it's design, whatever it is you're doing, don't give up. Understand, oh, okay, I thought I had it yesterday, today I don't. That just means I'm learning. But I can guarantee you this, the more you stick with this consistently, it becomes more enjoyable, because then it becomes a challenge. And then you start to think, okay, well, what caused me to swing back here? I'm trying to learn more. And the more you do that, and the more you sleep on these things and consistently decide to show up, your mind is going to start chewing and processing those things, which allows you one day to wake up, try something, and then realize, I actually got it. It clicked. I'm going to stick with this. And then it just gets fun because you get to do this long enough, and then one day you're going to show up to a wedding and you're going to start to pose a couple or whatever it is, and you're not going to think about it, and you're going to smile realizing that you're unaware of how good you are at it, and that's when it becomes second nature. The cool thing about teaching, as I'm teaching posing and sales and business tactics, it's fun because in a lot of those areas I'm up here, but I have to bring myself back down to the awareness, because you have to be aware of how something works in order to teach. And that, my friends, right there is the learning square. Like I said, if you haven't yet, just hit the link below so you can actually download this beautiful thing without my handwriting. It's all typed out and beautiful for you, so you can actually start to understand. And whatever the skill is, one, just know that you are fully capable and fully able to learn a new skill and go out there and do great and amazing things with it. It just takes the conscious awareness of how learning happens. So whether you're up here and you think, no, I'm good at something, you might be able to be like, oh, actually, I remember what this says. I'm probably going to have some kind of rude awakening. Or whether you're right here, or if you're in here and you've given up on whatever it is, I just dare you to peek out a little bit, realize it's not so scary, that those chemicals are just a reaction, a human reaction to challenge, and challenge is good. You're learning something new. And decide, I'm going to keep swinging back and forth between being good at something and not good at something, knowing darn well that one day I'm going to land on my feet fully competent in whatever that skill is. And that is right there, the number one tool that I use to teach new skills and to teach myself new skills. Understanding that I'm human, I need to work on this, and it gets way more enjoyable when you understand the learning process. I hope you can take this. I hope you can learn new skills with this. If you're down here in the pit of despair, giving up, pop your head out and decide to show up and keep going with those things. Ever since I learned this, my productivity and my skill learning and learning curve has shot up drastically. So whatever you're trying to learn, implement this, and it's going to help you dramatically. Until next time, my friends, hit that link below so you can download this worksheet. If you have not, please hit subscribe. Understand you are capable of great and amazing things, and I will see you in the next video.